G'day and welcome back to the TPO Rankings Show. This is round 29 of the show. We're fully into the season now, getting close to a wrap up, but we've still got a few more shows to go. If this is your first time, welcome. This show is all about Australian football through the lens of the TPO Rankings. You can think of it like the FIFA World Rankings, but for Australian football clubs. 362 of them, and we'll be looking to expand in the off-season and include a few more clubs. Now, I am lucky enough to be joined by former school captain of Isis District State High School and former Northern Inland Academy of Soccer player, Jake Shorter. Jake, how are you this evening?
I'm good, Cody. Northern Inland Academy of Sport. Thank you very much.
Soccer, sport.
Have you
yeah,
know.
You're right, isn't it? Yeah. There you
Back
go.
in the day, yes. Very proud of that one.
Very proud of that one. Cool. Well, Jake, tonight we have, I think, 3 games that we previewed last week. We'll touch on them, some finals and stuff like that. Then we're jumping into the, what do they call this thing? NPL Championship. So it starts this weekend. We're actually, the Heidelberg Devonport, so we'll jump into that game in particular, but then there's a bunch of other games that we'll touch on that are coming up in the coming weeks, but we thought we'd jump on that now. And then we've got a few games, heaps, actually we've got about 5 games, I think, to preview as well for the upcoming weekend, and a fair few grand finals and prelim finals and that sort of stuff. So a big show of finals, really, and the good thing about finals is they're the teams that are near the top of the rankings, so they're all important games and all that sort of stuff. So we'll jump on in and with the first 3 games that were played over the weekend. And the first one here we had was Campbelltown City and Adelaide City. So grand final, GF in the South Australian NPL. Now, you probably already know the result. If not, Campbelltown City won 1-0. Congratulations, Campbelltown. What a fantastic year they have had. And Jake, I did see we had a comment there on the Facebook, someone questioning why Campbelltown aren't above Adelaide City. And I'll get you to touch on that. It's pretty obvious to me, but maybe not those who are watching. I suppose the long answer, Jake, we might just touch on it, is that they had just such a ground to catch up. Like, you can't just play one good season and end up on number 1 on the TPO rankings. I think Campbelltown, as we mentioned, Jake, on our live last night, they were down in about 70th or 75th at the start of the season, whereas Adelaide City were up in the top 15 or 20. So they had a big way to go, and they nearly got there. They're not far off them, are they?
No, they're very close now. They're 16th and 17th. So, but yeah, you're right. Campbelltown City just started at a lower base, and Adelaide City have had a number of good seasons and have been ranked so highly for so long that Campbelltown City's place right now is actually really quite impressive. And depending on how they start the season next year, you can see them swapping around.
Well, even with their NPL Championship too, Jake. We'll touch on that game in the next part of the show. So anyways, we backed Adelaide City, actually. I think it was by like 1%, Jake. I think it was 39%.
Really close.
Adelaide, 38, Campbelltown and whatever else for the draw. So we almost could have put the draw there, but no, we'll say Adelaide City. And the supporters on Instagram, you guys, 62% of you agreed with us, so we're both wrong on this one. As a result, Campbelltown City, they move up to 17th, as Jake just mentioned. Adelaide dropped 1 spot to 16th. So yeah, very, very close. Now the next one was also at Cooper Stadium in South Australia, and this was in the NPL 1 Grand Final. And it was between Adelaide Raiders and Adelaide Blue Eagles. Now the result, Raiders got up 3-1. Congratulations on winning the Grand Final there. Both of us, the TBO rankings and supporters, backed the Raiders win. 63% of you guys on the Instagram stories. As a result, Raiders up 7 spots on the rankings to 56, so that's a very good move there. Huge move, actually. And Blue Eagles the other way. They fall 10 places to 70th, so not so good. I suppose finals have a little bit of extra weighting, don't they, Jake, as does the cup games?
Yeah, and around that kind of 70th down to 60th, even in the 50s, they're all quite tight, those teams. So big game like this will have a big impact just because there's such a small margin in it. And if you do your maths on the numbers, Cody, that you just mentioned there, Adelaide Blue Eagles were ranked higher than Raiders going into this one, and they've swapped spots now. So Raiders, the highest ranked club in that South Australian State League.
Yep. And do we know who got promoted? Is it just, there's 2 clubs. Is it those 2 clubs?
I know Adelaide Blue Eagles finished premiers and got promotion. I'll have to double check. If it is 2 teams, then Raiders finished second,
Yeah, I think it is because I believe there was 2 teams who went down. I forget who they are at the moment. But anyway, the other game, the third game we had, which was Sydney United and APIA Leichhardt Tigers in the NPL, New South Wales NPL. And the result was 1-1 after normal and after extra time, and APIA went on to win 6-5 on penalties. So we backed APIA to win. The supporters, 80% of you guys did as well. This one we scrapped though, because in terms of TPO rankings, we say basically the result at the end of the normal play. So we kind of scrapped that. But in terms of the rankings, APIA fall from their brief high point of, I think, 7th. They're back down to 9th. It's just very close there. And Sydney United are up 2 spots to 23rd. So, yeah, in terms of rankings, that one does go in as a draw, doesn't it, Jake?
It does, yeah, just in terms of where or which way the TPO points are swapped. So APIA being the favourites going into that one, the fact that they didn't win means that they'll drop a few TPO points. Not a lot, but very small amount.
Yep. Which explains the drop. Yep. So out of the 3 games, we scrapped 1, so just 2, and we both got 1 out of 2 right. So supporters, you guys are on 55 for the season. We're on 60, so 5 points gap, and with only a few weeks to go. I've been saying this for a while now, but you definitely need to catch up. I don't know if many people are keeping track at all, but I am. We're still 5 points ahead. So Jake, any other brief movements in the rankings that are worth shouting about?
Yeah, there weren't too many that are worth or that jumped out at me. But before I do that, just a bit of on-the-go research for you. The 2 teams do get promoted from the state league to the top tier. It's the team that finished as top of the table premiers. So that's Adelaide Blue Eagles, and the grand final winners, which were the Raiders.
Awesome. So we'll see them in up against Adelaide City and Campbelltown next year.
We will, definitely. Good stuff. And in terms of some of the other movements, only one change in the top 100 clubs, and this is a club that kind of jumps in and out, or has been. We've mentioned them a few times. It's Rochdale Rovers from the Football Queensland Premier League. They've moved up to ranked 100th, and the club that fell out was Mornington from Victoria, and they're another one that's kind of moved up and down.
Yeah, around that mark.
Yeah, and then not so much a movement, but just something that we've touched on in some of our other social media, but kind of an interesting stat is that the last 4 remaining NPL clubs in the FFA Cup, so down to the last 8 teams there, 4 of them from the NPL, those 4 clubs are also the highest ranked 4 clubs outside the A-League, according to the TPO rankings. So I don't know, just one of those interesting things. Obviously the draw or the fixtures plays a part in that, but just interesting that it's kind of a very short-term validation of the TPO rankings, maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
Actually, I think I put that up on in stories the other day. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool to see. Yep. But it is good as well. A good showcase for the NPL clubs to put our strongest foot forward, I suppose, to prove that we've got our best clubs in there to give us a chance of beating some of these A-League clubs. So that's pretty cool. And at least Heidelberg or Bentley Greens are guaranteed a spot in the semi. So we're going to have one of the best teams certainly in there. So that's cool. All right, Jake, we move into part 2 of the show, which is NPL Championship. It starts this weekend. We've got 4 games, I believe, and we've got some images up to get up on the screen for those on the podcast. You can check these out later, the big images Jake puts together through all the stats. Jake, I might kick things off with Devonport and Heidelberg just because I preview this game in the next section too, so I'll sort of maybe kill 2 birds with 1 stone here, and it is the game that is this weekend because Heidelberg have a game off in the finals down in Victoria. Because they finished first, so they are heading to Tasmania for a trip. Lucky them. They're playing Devonport City. So we're looking at the stats here, and obviously Heidelberg will go in as favourites. 72%. We're given the probability of winning there. They ranked in at 11th, whereas Devonport 51st. So Devonport being the highest. No, are they? Are they the highest ranked, Jake?
No, South Hobart is still a little bit ahead of them.
Yeah, only just though, I think. Or about 10 spots or something, I think. But yeah, Devonport having a great season there. They wrapped up the season down in Tasmania a week or 2 ago. So yeah, it's going to be a good game. I think Devonport got touched up. Who'd they get beat by in their fate? Was it Avondale? Ended up kind of romping about 4-1 or 4-0.
Yeah, you are right.
So
they beat Northcote City from Victoria.
They did,
in the first round 32, and then they got a bit of a thumping from Avondale.
So they're not liking it. They're getting a lot of Victorian clubs, Jake. 3 in the last sort of this season, so that's cool. Yeah. And we love this stuff. We love the interstate rivalries or matchups, and it's just great to see. And I'm really looking forward to. I don't know if I'll be able to catch this one. I'll probably be at another game myself, but. Looking forward to the result anyway. I love this sort of stuff, and I wouldn't rule Devonport out. They're a good club and they are at home, so if I had put money on it, Heidelberg going as favourites, but I certainly would not be surprised if Devonport end up getting the result here. Jake, I don't know if you want to touch on that or just jump into one of the other 4 games.
Only to say that Heidelberg did have that loss to Kingston City 4-1, I think it was, over the weekend. So maybe they're down on a bit of form.
I don't know what squad they had either because it was already wrapped up, like their season.
Yep.
They had guaranteed first spot. They probably gave some fringe players a go, that sort of stuff. I don't know. But yeah. Which game are you going for, Jake? I reckon I know.
I'm just looking at them here. I think I'll touch on the Lions one, seeing as I've got the Lions shirt on. And it's also the game that I'm hoping to get along and watch live.
And you're watching you had the Edgeworth Eagles shirt on last night on the Facebook Live too.
I did.
What are you going to go for? You're going to have to wear both shirts.
Yeah, well, I'm in Queensland and I used to play for Lions, so it's a hard one not to go for them. But I don't know. Maybe I'll take both shirts and wear neither of them, and maybe support both teams.
Maybe I can get down and I'll wear the other one.
You can pick one there. That's a good one. That's a good idea. There you go. Yeah, you're officially invited.
Cool.
Okay, so Lions FC versus Edgeworth Eagles. The game's on the weekend after the one that you just mentioned, so it's on the 15th of September, and this will be the week after both of these clubs finish up in their grand finals. So both Lions and Edgeworth are in their local or state grand finals, and both of them finished as the premiers. Obviously, that's why they're in this competition. They're both the highest ranked club in their state, so it's quite a good one. Lions currently ranked as at 18th. Edgeworth are 25th in the country. In terms of the percentages, the home advantage comes into it as well, but Lions ranked higher. They go in as 52% chance of winning, or probability, and Edgeworth about a 27%, with obviously the difference being the draw. I'm just kind of looking at this one, Cody, and we've got a graph up showing the rankings history for both clubs, and they've kind of been swapping back and forth, and it was only kind of midway through this 2018 season that Lions moved back ahead of Edgeworth in the rankings. So, Edgeworth's been quite a strong club in Northern New South Wales for a few years now, but I don't know, it's probably not as one-sided as those numbers probably predict, Cody, I would have thought.
Yeah, I guess take away the last couple of months and Edgeworth might have even gone in as favourites. Yeah, as you say, certainly at the start of the year they would have, but Lions just have gone on strength to strength in the last couple of months, so it's a shame they got knocked out of the FFA Cup to Adelaide United, but yeah, this will be a really good game and a really good matchup. I think it'll be very even.
Yeah, the interesting one. So looking forward to that one.
Certainly. Jake, all right, I'm just going to, 2 games ago, I'll go Sydney Olympic, who are hosting Perth Soccer Club. So this will be the day after that game, Jake, on the Sunday. And you go in with Sydney Olympic 14th on the rankings, Perth Soccer Club down at 35th, and they've obviously got to travel over to Sydney, but they'll make a weekend of it, I am sure. They'll be loving it. Free trip to Sydney, and yeah, so it'll be a good game. I would predict that Sydney Olympic will probably roll on and be too strong, but I don't know. You never really know with these games in finals, but yeah, so we've got them down, Sydney Olympic at a 64% probability of winning, and again, you look at those graphs, and they've been pretty close until pretty much this year. They've sort of gone the opposite ways. Perth Soccer Club and Olympic were pretty much on par at the start of the season on points, but Olympic have gone up and Perth Soccer Club has sort of gone down a bit. They've recovered a little bit in the last...
Kind of hovered, I guess.
Yeah, hovered, not really done much of anything. But yeah, it'll be a good game, and again, we love these matchups, and if Perth Soccer Club can get a win, they certainly will jump up many places, I predict. Jake, I believe the last game we got here is Canberra and Campbelltown.
Yeah, and just to touch on Perth quickly, Cody, as well, they... you'll see in a minute, for those watching, we didn't pick a Western Australian game as one of our games of the week because we don't actually know what the grand final is going to be. Yeah. So there's a game on, we're recording on a Monday night. Tuesday there's actually their preliminary final, and then the grand final is on the weekend. So it could be that Perth Soccer Club, who just played a game on the weekend, lost in a penalty shootout, they have to play on Tuesday night, and if they win that, they might have to play the grand final this weekend on the 8th or 9th, and then back it up by travelling to Sydney to play Sydney Olympic. So they might be absolutely buggered by the time this game rolls around.
I don't know why they jumped that final in on a Tuesday night. Like, you play all season and then you got to quickly rush 3 games in at the most important 3 games of the season in 1 week. It seems a bit crazy, Jake.
Yeah, a little over the top. But anyway, the last game here, which I've got, is also on the 15th. That's the Saturday of September. And it's Canberra FC and Campbelltown City, so ACT versus South Australia. Canberra FC in the running, so as we just mentioned, Campbelltown City just won the grand final. Canberra are in the grand final this weekend against Canberra Olympic, and they won the local state knockout competition to qualify for the FA Cup. They won the premiership, so both of these clubs having really great seasons. Campbelltown City will go in as very heavy favourites, though. They're ranked 17th on the rankings. Canberra FC ranked at 74th, so quite a way down. They have kind of, I'm just looking at their year from a TPO rankings point of view, they did start by moving up quite a bit, and then they kind of found a spot where they've stayed a little bit. They had a couple of games in a row during the year where they had some poor results, and that kind of dropped them back down again. So, whereas Campbelltown have just been climbing all year. So, in terms of those percentages, Campbelltown City are given a 70% chance of winning, and Canberra FC about a 14% chance. So, I think Campbelltown City, they're so strong at the moment. They're not really having any gap between the... well, they do have 1 week gap, I guess, so maybe that'll come into it, Cody, between the grand final and this game. And they do have to travel to the ACT, so maybe there's some celebrations, end-of-year sort of stuff going on that might affect them.
Sure, yeah.
So who knows?
And, all right, well, they're the 4 games. And the reason although some of these are sort of 2 weeks away, we love this sort of stuff is because it's great for the TPO rankings. We get to calibrate state v state, and the FFA Cup is obviously great for it too. So we live for this stuff, and hence why we spent a bit of time on it this week. Now, Jake, part 3, coming weekend's games. I think I've got 3, and I think you've got 2, or you might have 3 as well.
I think I've got 3 as well.
All right, we've got 6 games.
Yep.
I'll just jump straight into mine. I'll keep things brief, and then you can jump into yours. So we are really blessed this week. We've got so many great games, finals, and all that sort of stuff. So you've got the best teams going head to head, and we love finals footy. So I'm jumping into Queensland NPL Grand Final, Lions versus Olympic. They both qualified obviously for the final on the weekend. Lions threw on penalties against Moreton Bay, and Olympic beat Western Pride 2-1. So yeah, we don't really need to give this game too much hype other than to say it's the best 2 teams for the season going head to head. Lions ranked in at 18th, as we mentioned just before. Olympic are at 27th, so not too far behind, but a bit of a gap there. And so Lions go in as pretty heavy favourites, 52% probability. Jake, is this one at Richlands, at Lions home ground?
Yeah, this one I believe is on Sunday. So Sunday about 5 p.m, something like that. So this will be one that I'm hoping to get to as well.
Yeah, might be able to get along. I keep saying that. I don't think I've ever taken it up though. So anyway, I'm going to just keep rolling on here. My next one's also in Queensland, but the division down, and that's the FQPL, and it's Peninsula versus Eastern Suburbs. Power undefeated all year in the league. They lost 1 game all year, and that was to Lions in the FFA Cup. They finished 20 points ahead of second place, Eastern Suburbs, on the table. I think they'll be too strong on the day. I'm guessing this is at Power, Jake, Peninsula, or they also play down at Lions?
No, this one, from what I saw, is on Saturday. Okay. So Lions game, the NPL is on the Sunday. This one's on the Saturday, and it's up at Peninsula's home ground,
cool.
Kelly Park.
As it should be, yep. They'll be too good, I think. Anything can happen on finals, as I say, but no, I think Power will be too strong. They're ranked in at 28th, so only 1 spot behind Olympic, who are up the second best team in the NPL, so shows how strong Power are. It's a new competition for those who don't know in Queensland, so they're kind of just thrown in there, but they're obviously too strong, and they will be in the NPL next year, which is awesome, as will East. So yeah, 73% probability of winning at home. I'm going on, and actually we kind of just jumped on this. I'll quickly mention it for the Instagram stories voting. It's Devonport hosting Heidelberg in the NPL Championship. We love these sorts of games, and as mentioned earlier, Heidelberg go in as favourites, quite heavy favourites this weekend, 72% probability of winning. Jake, your 3 games. Geez, that was quick for me, wasn't it?
All right, I was going to say I'll race you and get mine done quickly, but it's not going to happen.
You've got a handicap. You've got like a 50% extra handicap.
All right, so I'm going to start. It's all grand finals as well. Firstly, the New South Wales grand final, Sydney Olympic versus APIA Leichhardt. 2 top clubs all year. APIA ranked as the highest non-A-League club at the moment in the TPO rankings. Olympic were the premiers and were the first through the grand final. APIA got through on penalty shootout against Sydney United on the weekend. So I don't really need to talk that one up. It's a huge game.
Massive.
Sydney Olympic ranked 14th at the moment in the country, APIA 9th. So that means from a probability point of view, we're giving Sydney Olympic only a 26% chance of winning and APIA 53% chance. So if you're thinking about your voting and you want to try and gain some points back on the TPO algorithm, this might be one that you might have to start thinking about Olympic.
Jake, did you know when this was? Did you say? Is it Saturday or Sunday?
Don't know, Cody. I didn't actually go that far.
No, you're right.
You're calling out my poor research. But,
that's all right.
Yeah, not sure. I'm going to go to the next one. And another grand final, Northern New South Wales. Edgeworth Eagles versus Broadmeadow Magic. Again, the top two clubs in the state throughout the 2018 season. And Edgeworth won the league quite easily in the end. I think it was 11 points ahead of second placed Broadmeadow Magic. But it was Broadmeadow Magic who had the better cup run, FFA Cup run during the year. So they've also been obviously up there, hence why they're in the grand final. Edgeworth currently ranked 25th. Broadmeadow ranked 36th. And that means that we have a 50% chance of Edgeworth winning and a 28% chance of Broadmeadow winning. My last game now is another grand final in the ACT. And this one we touched on briefly before. Canberra Olympic and Canberra FC. Olympic are the highest ranked ACT club still, but Canberra FC has the chance to win the treble this season. They've already got the premiership, the state knockout cup, and now obviously the championship is up for grabs. And it'll also be the third time in about 4 weeks that these two clubs have played each other, and they've won one game each so far. So this really is a decider in more ways than one. In terms of the percentages, this one's the closest of the three which I've picked for this weekend. Canberra Olympic are given a 47% chance of winning, Canberra FC a 31% chance. So I wouldn't back against Canberra FC winning this one. So again, for those voting at home, this might be a good one to try and go against the TPO algorithm and maybe gain something back.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Jake, and just to clarify, it was Sunday 4 p.m. was the New South Wales NPL Grand Final.
Gotcha.
Just check that one out. All right, well, that's the show. That's the three parts of the show. I don't have anything to ask of you this week other than I hope you're enjoying the show and hope you're enjoying finals footy. That's the shame about it, Jake. You go watch one game and you're forfeiting watching a bunch of other great games at exactly the same time. So, but that's
and there'll be lots of live streams as well, keep in mind. So if you're sitting at home on a Saturday or Sunday, this is the weekend to go looking for those live streams. And one thing that I touched on, which I'll just quickly mention, Cody, we didn't pick it as a game of the week, but the Western Australian Grand Final, NPL Grand Final, is this weekend as well.
Yep.
And it'll be Perth Glory, and who have already qualified. They'll be playing either Perth Soccer Club or Coburn City. So another one to watch. All the Grand Finals are happening this weekend.
Yeah, crazy. Except we've still got Victoria and
a couple
to go. But
figure of speech.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, heaps of finals. We love it. All right. Well, Jake, anything else?
No, that's it from me.
Cool. Well, thank you for joining me, Jake, former school captain of ISIS District State High School, and I didn't even the acronym ISIS didn't really mean a thing back then, Jake. Now it's pretty charged, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, and Northern Inland Academy of Sport. Well done, Jake. Well, thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Cody.
And thanks for watching, guys. And we will see you next week, which is round 30 on the TPO Rankings show. So we will see you then. Bye bye.